On this episode of the Procedurally Generated Show, Ethan fights some zombies, Tony believes in the heart of the cards, and Shannon makes his triumphant return. We talk about the week's biggest news, the games we've been playing, and anything else that we find interesting. Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Procedurally Generated Show. I'm your host, Tony, and joining me this week, I've got Ethan.
Sorry, I just saw a commercial and I was like, what new anime is this? This looks awesome. And then it said League of Legends.
Oh, no.
So it's not a new anime. It was a letdown.
Maybe it is a new anime.
Nope. It was just advertising the game.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It was showing me something I like, and then it's like, here's something you like on something you despise. LOL.
Maybe you do like League of Legends and you just don't know it.
No, I hate it.
Okay.
I blame the community, which has probably moved over to Fortnite by now.
Probably. I mean, everybody else has moved over to Fortnite.
So who's playing League?
Shannon. Shannon is.
I am not playing League of Legends. I'm
Playing Fortnite. Okay, got it.
I'm not playing Fortnite either.
He's playing the Raise the Baby game.
Yep.
Your baby's
hold the
playing
baby
Fortnite. Okay.
Yeah. Before I know it, man. She can't even say a word yet. Can't hold her head up. But man, she's tearing some fools down in Fortnite.
When she starts walking, the first thing she's going to do is learn to floss.
Oh no. My nephew was trying to teach my son how to do that dance, and I quickly interrupted. Like, not letting that one in my house.
That's right. He could teach you the Carlton dance. Then you'd have to worry about getting sued.
Ugh, I'm so disappointed. We can discuss that one when we get to what we're playing. I have thoughts on the Carlton and Forza Horizon 4.
Really?
Yes.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and get right into that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I've got like 6 weeks worth of gaming to summarize in like 10 minutes. But what I will start off with on the subject of the Carlton. So they did update Forza Horizon 4 and they took dances like the Floss and the Carlton out. I saw the update. I saw the patch notes that the dances were removed. I was very upset because I used the Carlton as my victory dance for every single one of my races.
Do you really?
I used to, until they just took it out when it was something that I had used in-game currency to get through buying super wheel spins. And they don't do anything to reimburse it after taking it away from you. It just disappeared.
That's a scum move right there.
Yeah.
It would be the same way in Fortnite. I don't know if Fortnite's removed the dances.
And like the whole thing behind it is like it's not like it was in a shop and I had to go buy it with in-game currency. It's just using the in-game currency for the wheel spins, and that happened to be one of my prizes from the wheel spin.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a bummer, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
So you just had no victory dance, or they replaced it with the default or something?
It just went to the next one in the list beneath the Carlton. So like I didn't even realize it was. I didn't even realize. No, I was popping and locking. I think that was what it jumped to. But yeah, after the patch or after the updates and everything, I just go to an online race and I get to the victory screen and I'm like, that is not my dance. And I start looking into it. I'm like, oh, okay. But
it has been removed.
Yep. Okay, so the last time I was on here, I was talking about Dragon Quest XI. Dragon Quest XI is still amazing. I am, so number one, I have the full party. Number two, I hit a point where I thought I was done with the main quest because you have like this section where you're collecting these things, and that is the main goal, is to collect the widgets and take the widgets to the place.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, that's okay. I was just pushing the start button, and it took me 40 hours to push the start button, and now the game got a whole lot bigger, and the world is gigantic. And oh, okay, yeah. So that's still got quite a long ways to go in Dragon Quest. I did not. I thought I was doing good at streamlining and following a guide, and then I realized, oh, I have another maybe 40 plus hours left. So
yeah, those games, I don't know if you know this, they're very long.
But you know what? I'm not complaining, so don't take it as a complaint, because the game is very good, and I have not had any moments where I'm upset or bored or disappointed with anything that's happening in the game. It always feels like the right kind of, play it an hour before bedtime, and it's like a good bedtime story feeling.
Yeah.
Like nice, cozy, warm, good feels that you get out of, tearing up slimes and I forgot the name of the monster with gosh dang it, Wumpafet trumpet dude, I can't remember. They've got like the silliest, goofiest names, and they're all so happy to get their faces knocked in. So
yeah. I love the pun names that a lot of the creatures in Dragon Quest have.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Let's see. I'm gonna backtrack to Forza for a second, because I did this week play Forza Horizon 4 online with Shelby, and I didn't realize how much gating they put in that game before they let you get online with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to progress your in-game level to 20, from 0 to 20, which is potentially about 6 to 8 hours worth of work in the game. And then you also have to progress through an entire year in game. You have to go through all 4 seasons before it allows you to jump into just open online multiplayer.
And a season is what, a week at a time?
Or
is it a month?
The seasons they do progress a week at a time in the Horizon Life, which is the online open MMO
Right.
open multiplayer side of it. But in the game, it's based off of, you do a handful of races, and then you do this big event race where you race like a hoverboat, or you race a train, or you race an airplane, or you do like these big showcase events. And then once you do that showcase event, it takes you into the next season. It's basically like a 6-hour tutorial that it forces you through before it lets you jump into the big open online experience. And I guess without having anybody to play online with, when I first went through all that stuff, I never realized I was being gated.
Yeah.
So, but trying to get online to play with Shelby, it was an interesting experience. So, let's see. I got another interesting experience, because I feel like, even though what led to having to deal with Ubisoft support was a bummer, I feel like Ubisoft support handled the situation very well on my end.
That sounds like a lie.
It's all right. So
Ubisoft doesn't help with support. They just tell you to uninstall and reinstall.
So here's the deal. I bought Starlink Battle for Atlas on the Nintendo Switch because it was like 2 or 3 days before Christmas. It was only $20 on Newegg with I think $3 shipping. When it arrived a week after Christmas, it was missing the cartridge. And apparently I'm not the only person, because my sister-in-law, who ordered it as well, hers was missing the game. And then I start looking online, and there's tons of other people who are just straight up missing the game inside of the box. So, and Ethan, you were telling me that this was a widespread issue when the game launched back in October.
Yeah, I think you told us about this last time you were on the show as well.
Oh, okay. If I already discussed
I
this,
think, let's see, what they gave you a digital code for the game.
Yep.
And then you finally got your physical copy, turned around, sold it, used the credit to buy all the in-game items or something. So you didn't need any of the Starlink pieces, right?
Yeah, this is a discussion we had in line because I haven't been on the show since before Christmas.
No, wait. Maybe it was for Tony. I got the footage. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all good. It was a crazy experience, but it's I feel like Ubisoft actually handled it pretty well. They offered a digital code so I could get right to playing the game, and then they still sent the physical cartridge in the mail. So that was cool.
I blame Tony.
What did I do?
You talked about Starlink on the show before.
It's a good game.
It is a good game. I've very much enjoyed Starlink so far. I do really like the split screen multiplayer as well because Travis and I have been going through that.
That is very nice.
I like the fact that it lets you do the play digital with everything too, so you don't have to collect all of the toys. Now that I just have the digital version with all of the DLC, it feels like the end result is I paid way less money and I don't have all the clutter and I don't have to worry myself about completing the set.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of that stuff digitally as well so that I could have access to different weapons and things like that. So
yeah, it also plays really well on the go. So being able to just take all of that stuff digitally and not have to lug around a backpack full of toys is a nice experience. I'm glad that they handled it like this, and I wish other games would have gone this route, like either Lego Dimensions or Skylanders. If they'd have gone this route years ago, I think they would have helped themselves big time in the retail space, because I don't see Starlink cluttering up shelves anywhere near the way that Skylanders and Disney and all that stuff did in years previous. So
well, they don't have nearly as much stuff. First of all, they have half a dozen at most ships and things like that. So that's part of it. They made a Toys to Life game that doesn't have 100 different toys that you have to have.
Right.
And I really do appreciate that they allowed you to just buy that stuff digitally if you wanted it.
Yeah. Not only that, but they also made a really flippin' good story to go along with it, because I have enjoyed every moment of it so far. Okay. That pretty much, between Forza, Starlink, and Dragon Quest, that brings me up to currently this week.
I still swear you talked about Starlink on the show before.
Nope. You can go back and fact check that.
I was looking.
It's okay. So that brings me up to this week, which is Kingdom Hearts week. So, am I allowed to talk about this story without, or am I allowed to talk about anything Kingdom Hearts without anybody getting upset?
I wouldn't get upset. I'm afraid anybody on the internet, if you talk anything about Kingdom Hearts, will murder you.
Oh, man.
And I really don't want to be responsible for the death of a friend.
Do it.
Okay.
Do
it. Okay, so if I'm not going to talk about anything further than the first 2 worlds. I'll give
20 hours.
The first 2 worlds, which is maybe 3 hours of the game. That's all I'm going to discuss in this moment. If you don't want to hear that, skip past and consider yourself warned for any potential spoilers, because I showed something on Twitter this week that somebody apparently got really upset and said that it was a spoiler, and I'm like, well, geez, that was
at
an
least
hour
they didn't
into the
report
game.
you, so that's good.
Yeah, but anyway, first of all, when you start the game, you don't start Kingdom Hearts 3.
No.
The very first title card you see when you start this game is Kingdom Hearts 2.9.
What?
I'm dead serious.
What?
They've come full circle. That's great.
I'm dead serious. Because Sora starts off the game having lost all of his powers from the previous stuff, which kind of makes sense if you played any of the games leading up to this, because they went into the Shadow World, and he was kind of like, he was possessed by Xehanort or something to some extent, and everything everything went downhill. He failed his Keyblade Master test, and you're basically now you start off at Olympus, which is the Hercules world.
Yeah.
And you're basically asking Hercules, which is, big, super strong, one of the gods. You're going asking him how to get your powers back, because that's what he had to. He had to get his powers back.
This game series is nuts.
It is absolutely nuts. And
supposedly it takes place right after Birth by Sleep or something, or it takes place after one of the spin-off games or something.
Yeah, like if you look at the timeline, it's kind of cuckoo bananas. Birth by Sleep is, so you have Kingdom Hearts Key is the very first game, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Birth by Sleep. Then you have Kingdom Hearts 1. Then you have I think it's Rechain of Memories, or 1.5, which is the Chain of Memories. Yeah, Chain of Memories. Then you've got Recoded, and then you have 358 over 2 days, which fits somewhere between Chain of Memories and the first game, because that gives you Roxas's backstory, and then you have Kingdom Hearts 2, and then you have 2.8, which is really 0.2, which is Aqua's story, which fits between Birth by Sleep and the first game. This game's bananas.
Yeah, and I saw Union Cross became available on Amazon tablets this week.
So I will say this: Union Cross is a fairly fun mobile game. I have been playing that on my phone since September, I think, because they had a DLC deal where when you do these specific games on Union Cross on your phone, you get a DLC code for the Starlight Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I saw that as well this week.
I asked Tony if what's it called again? The new one? The other new one?
Kingdom Hearts 3?
The one you were just
Union Cross?
Union Cross.
Yeah, that one. I was asking Tony if it was compatible with Alexa devices.
Unfortunately, I don't think it is.
No.
But man, if it was.
No, we had an awesome conversation about this, where they could put out an Alexa version that described everything the way DVDs do for blind people.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation.
Okay, so back to Kingdom Hearts 3. You start off in 2.9, Sora's lost all his powers, and you're trying to regain them. I fought the Titans. I rode. So one of the coolest things in this new game is when you encounter a group of enemies, if one of them has a green reticle over them, you want to target them first and attack them first, because if you do, there's a chance you will be able to do an attraction attack, which is you basically summon a Disney World theme park ride into the game, and they can be like the Buzz Lightyear blaster game, where it's basically you, Sora, Donald, and Goofy all sitting in this little car shooting, playing like this light gun shoot 'em up game with all of the monsters in the area. Or you can summon the swinging pirate ship, and the pirate ship stays stationary, and you hit X to swing it forward, swing it back, swing it forward, swing it back. I had one where I rode Thunder Mountain. I rode the train from Big Thunder Mountain all over this Titan's face, and I destroyed him. And I was shooting him with fireworks coming out of the smokestack of the train. It was amazing. This game just embraces the chaos of lights and shiny things, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Even though the story's a little hard to follow, it's so good.
I really need to finish 2.
Yeah, I am way behind. I think I've played 1, I think I've played 2, and I've played 358 over 2 days, and that's about it.
I think you're good.
My save data for 2 got lost in that PS3 incident from several years ago.
So my best advice for people is if you don't have to catch up on the story.
Yes, I do.
I promise you don't. And if
me.
you feel did you go back and play Persona 1 and 2 before playing Persona 3?
I tried to.
Okay. Did you finish them?
There were complications.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to. The story, so at the very beginning when you load up the title screen, you can go into this theater view. I forget what it's called. But it's basically they've pieced together 5 movies that give you the backstory, and it's all 5 of those movies together is like 30 minutes in length.
Oh, they did like that Yakuza thing.
Yeah. They do a really good job at giving you just enough information that won't... Like, it gives you enough backstory to understand what's going on in a general sense, and then things that they reflect on in the story fill in the gaps of the information they didn't give you from those movies. So, like, you might go, who's Aqua? And then, like, because the movies might gloss over Aqua as a character, and then within the first hour of playing the game, you find out what the connection between Riku, Aqua, and Terra are, because you basically catch Riku reflecting on what he went through in the Dark World. Like, it does a really good job at giving you just enough information to where the game fills in those gaps. So, also, you can play this game with just loving the Disney nostalgia and understanding that light is good, dark is bad, fight for the light.
There you go.
That's pretty much all it takes.
And Mickey is your friend.
Mickey is your friend. Mickey is your friend, and man, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to touch on that. That's a different Kingdom Hearts game. It's Kingdom Hearts 3 is fantastic. I highly recommend it. It is the most beautiful game I think I've played so far on my PS4. I take that back. God of War is still probably the best looking game, but this is right up there as far as visual fidelity and how smooth the graphics are and how super pretty it looks, especially on this PS4 Pro. So
I don't know if you know, but Square Enix makes really nice looking games.
They do. I just want to... Ooh. Okay. I said I wasn't going to spoil anything past the first 2 worlds. The second world you go to is Twilight Town. And you do run into Remy, the rat from Ratatouille.
Yeah.
And there are Cooking Mama style mini games in here. So you will forage for ingredients to make food with Remy. And like as you go through each one of these worlds, you might find, oh, here's a mushroom, oh, here's an apple, oh, here's a strawberry, or whatever. And then you take all the stuff back to Remy, and he goes, hey, you have enough ingredients to do this mini game to make a bowl of consomme, or you have this to make this fruit tart. And then you go in and you play a mini game where you're like chopping onions and flambeing or braising the meat or cracking an egg. And you do these little mini games, and then the stuff that you get out of it are health boosts or stuff to boost your MP.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. Really, really cool.
That sounds really cool.
That's it. That's Kingdom Hearts 3. Highly recommend it.
Well, it's good to have you back.
I'm glad to be back.
All right, what have you been playing, Ethan?
I'm still working on Resident Evil 2.
Are you going to be able to finish the game?
I finished Leon's Side A today.
How about them zombies?
Took 8.5 hours and a ton of zombies and all my ammo. But I finished Leon's story, Side A.
Okay, I have a serious question.
Okay.
How's the reach on these zombies?
Shorter than you expect, but longer than you're expecting.
Okay.
Like, you'll see one lunge at you, and they're like up in your screen before they get you. Other times you're running past them, and it's like, how did he grab me from 5 feet away? That makes no sense.
Gotcha. Okay, so they do a good job at giving the zombies the element of surprise and horror, which is good. Because like I think back to playing Resident Evil 2 now, in today's perspective, it's laughably stupid. When you think it's not
what,
scary.
3 shots and the zombie's dead in the original, right?
Right.
This one, it's, okay, full clip. Okay, alright, well, they're still alive. Let me get my reloaded and...
Yeah.
Okay, still coming. I'm running low on ammo. And that's the first one down. Let's work on the second one now.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some complaints about these things being sponges. So,
but right there at the end, they do the whole generic things like healing item, ammo, ammo, ammo. And I'm so happy they did. I needed every bit of that. In fact, I think I had more ammo at the end of the game than I had at any point prior to that point.
Wow.
Yeah, I was swimming in it at that point, and it still didn't feel like it was enough. Any other questions, Shannon?
Yeah. Do the zombies repopulate when you backtrack?
They're capable of doing so. They're the outer edges of the police station have windows.
Okay.
And they will be beating on the windows trying to get in, and they can break in.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have to find boards and barricade windows to prevent that. And there's more windows than there are barricades, so you can't do them all. And I think you can even break the windows yourself if you're not careful.
Okay, one more question.
Okay.
Did they put bathrooms in the police station?
There is at least 2 bathrooms.
Okay, because there were.
Well, I know there's definitely one. I know there's definitely one. I don't know if the second one. I know it's a shower, but yeah.
I know it's a silly thing to notice, but the very first Resident Evil 2 on PS2, there were no bathrooms in the entire police station.
I want to say the police station was not a police station until like recently on here or something. It was like like a museum or something. I don't know what it was. So that kind of explains why there's the hidden mechanisms inside the building.
Okay.
It's one of the things that had always bothered me. I was like, why do they have so many hidden things in this building? This makes no sense. Mr. X on there, he is a jerk, and I did find out there are actual safe places away from him.
Are there really?
Yeah, there's some rooms he just won't come into them. And from what I was reading, this is right after I beat the Leon side, because I know he's going to be worse in the B side. Much worse. So I was reading up to see if there's any way to make him less of a nuisance. And apparently he won't go in the rooms, and you just have to go in there and he'll eventually leave. Like, he'll stand at the door for a little bit and then just leave. And like I believe it said he will come into other rooms, ignore you, and just keep going. So I don't know what to expect from what's going to happen when I play as Claire, which I started it, but I haven't really done too much other than get to a save point, because this was like, and just within the hour before we started recording. Backtracking on there was amazingly helpful. I had missed so much in the police station, and so I was really happy when I got the chance to return to it. There was major weapon upgrades I needed, and they were very helpful for the last phase. Also, I didn't know USB ports are around in 1998.
Really?
According to the game, they were.
I don't know when they were made, widely available.
Well, let's see. We are talking. This was in the STARS office on there, so it could be limited to the
The government might have had them.
Yeah, it might just be their special
1996.
There you go.
Okay, so it wasn't widespread, so maybe just whatever.
Yeah, I think whatever I had Windows 98 on, it was a PS2 port on the back of the computer. So
yeah, it does kind of remind me. My dad was like, "Why do you have this cord?" And it was the original link cable for the Game Boy. It's like asked me if it was USB. Good times. So yeah, zombies take a lot of bullets still. They're jerks.
The game still looks great.
It looks amazing. And I'm going to work on the Claire side and probably have that done this week.
There you go.
It's going to take like another 8 hours and a lot of working up nerves to play it.
It would take me far too many nerves to work up. I'd never get it played.
You can put it on easy mode and that'll make you feel better.
Probably still too scary.
Yeah, you're right. It's not going to turn down the scariness. You're still in the place with limited ammo.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything absolutely new you want to know about this game that I talked about last week, I'm passing it on to you, Tony.
Okay. Let's see. I played some Warframe this week.
Really?
Yeah. I don't really want to talk about that, though.
Did you play Anthem?
No, I did not.
Did you know it worked this week?
Do what?
It was working this week.
Yeah, I still don't care.
Yeah.
So, but as long as it's working, it's better than it was last week.
Oh yes, definitely.
So, played both Smash and Brawlhalla this week because both of those games got new characters added to them.
cool.
Piranha Plant was made available before February.
In Brawlhalla.
So, yeah, in Brawlhalla, that was weird. No, I think Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. Nintendo said, "Hey, you can update Smash to 2.0 and get Piranha Plant if you registered the game with My Nintendo." So Piranha Plant was made available. He is also now available for purchase if you didn't get him for free. He's $5 in the eShop. So he is available for everybody. And then Brawlhalla got a new legend called Fate. She's a little witch character who uses orbs and a scythe as her two weapons in the game. And she's really good. I have played her mostly this week. Queen Nai is my main for anybody that knows Brawlhalla, but I have had a lot of success with Fate this week, and so I think I might play as her for a while and see how that works out.
I'm very curious. Did you have any issues with your save data with 2.0 and Smash?
I haven't, because I haven't played. There's one particular mode that they were saying if you play as Piranha Plant in this mode, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Okay.
I haven't played that mode. I've pretty much only played the regular Smash.
I think it was
Gotcha.
what was it, All Stars mode or whatever?
All-Star mode, that's what it is.
Okay.
And so I told Jake not to play that until Nintendo patches that, which I would assume would happen pretty quickly. But no, I haven't run into any of those issues.
Okay.
But it can corrupt your save data and force you to start all over again.
Oh.
Yeah.
which
is not good.
I saw that people were ending up with corrupted save data, so I just haven't even updated it yet.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, 2.0 is broken.
As long as you stay out of All-Star mode, you should be okay.
Okay.
So, then the other game that I played this week and put quite a bit of time into is a free-to-play card game that just came out on the Switch a few weeks ago called Lightseekers.
Tell me about Lightseekers.
It's pretty fun. it plays very differently from other card games that I'm used to, like Magic or Pokemon, where you have mana or energy that you're attaching to cards to be able to use the attacks on the cards. This you have your you have your character and your opponent character, and I think they start with 30 health. And the object of the game is to get your opponent's health down to 0.
Okay.
And to do that, you have cards that can attack, and they'll do 2 or 3 or 4 points of damage per turn. And when it's your turn to play, you have 2 actions, and that can be either to attack the other player, or you can basically forfeit that action to draw a card, because you don't draw cards automatically in your turn like in a lot of card games. So there's this sort of risk reward as to how often you want to attack or how much you want to kind of hoard your cards for a while so that you can kind of string a bunch of attacks together. And in order to attack, let me see. In order to attack, you actually the different cards have a number in the different corners. So, like in the top left corner, if the card has a number in that top left corner, it'll do that amount of damage. Or there are other actions that it can do. Like you can put out a card that will allow you to draw a particular number of cards, and it'll have 1 or 2 or 3 up there in the corner. And if you play the card, you can do whatever is in the top left corner of the card. There are cards that then have numbers around the other 3 corners of the card, and those will stay in play for multiple turns. And when your turn comes up, you'll rotate the card 90 degrees, and that puts another number up in the top left corner. And so you can continue at the beginning of your turn to rotate the card 90 degrees until either you've used all 4 corners of the card that had numbers, or a corner doesn't have a number at that point. And so you have buff cards that will add damage to your attacking cards, or they can allow you to draw more cards, or they can reduce the amount of damage that you take in a turn. And so those buff cards will stay in play as long as you haven't rotated it past where all the numbers are. And that will allow you to string a lot of different things together. I've seen some games where you've got some people who have earned tons of really powerful cards, and they have actually manipulated it to where they can basically kill the opposing player in 1 turn.
Jeez.
So by doing things where you have multiple buffs that just keep stacking on top of each other, or doing things that will reduce the amount of damage that the opponent can absorb, and things like that. So, I mean, there are a ton of different strategies that you can do in this game. I think there are 5 different decks, and you start with a mountain deck. And then there are other decks. There's like a life deck, which is does things like manipulates the amount of life that you gain during a turn, or reduces the amount of life that the opposing character has. And it focuses more on things like that rather than just direct attacks. There's another one that focuses on lightning attacks, and I don't remember what all of them are called. I haven't gained access to all the decks yet, so I'm not 100% sure on what all of them are. But there's 5 or 6 decks that you can earn, and all of those can be earned offline fairly quickly, and then you can take those decks online and play against other players.
Good.
There is a physical aspect to the game, so you can there is a physical version of the card game, and any of the cards that you physically own, you can actually scan and put into the digital version of the game.
Really?
Yeah, so obviously on Switch, it doesn't have a camera, so you would have to download the mobile version of the game, which I did. I downloaded it onto my tablet, and was in a chat room with some people who were playing the games, and they actually sent a couple of booster packs that I could scan and put into the game. You can tie the Switch version to the mobile version. I think it's also available for PC now. I think that came out here pretty recently. And all of the cards that you earn can transfer between any version of the game that you have, any decks you've built, any experience you've earned, things like that. So you can have multiple versions of the game, and it will basically, whenever you start the game on whatever device you're using, it'll ping the server and say, hey, you've got a more recent save file over on this version of the game. Do you want to download that to the device you're playing on now? So
that's very handy.
The game is really fun so far. I'm really enjoying it. I would like to see if I can get some of the physical cards. I checked online, and I don't think there are any retailers in Tulsa that have the physical version of the game. But I'd be interested in checking that out. And it is free to play.
So I went through this with Pokemon, and I really like it when these games have the ability to, I mean, because the biggest benefit to having them is if you're ever going to get into the physical game, you have the digital side of it to perfect your deck or your mechanic, or like how you're going to play your play style and stuff. I mean, that's really cool. It's nice that card games like Magic and Pokemon and now this are getting into that. So.
Yeah, and it is really nice. I don't think the decks for this game are very big. I think they're like 30 cards, so they're not huge. Like, I think Magic decks can have 50 or 60 cards into them. But I don't know what the pricing is on the physical cards. I haven't looked into that to see what it is, but I do like that aspect. One thing I worry about with games like that is if you play the digital version and you get so far ahead of that and you have cards there that you don't have physically, that I can see that getting a little frustrating, but I do like that aspect. I know with this, cards can only be scanned once. So, like, if you have the cards and you've scanned them into your version of the game, and you sell those cards or you trade those cards with a friend, they can't actually scan that card into their deck until you go into your version of the game
and remove it.
And remove that card from your profile.
So the exact same thing happens with drop mix. So each one of the NFC tags inside of drop mix it's a unique identifier. So you can build your deck in the mobile app based around what your cards are. So that's a common feature.
Yeah, I think with Light Seekers, it's a series of black dots around the edge of the card that it's looking for.
Okay. So they're not NFC chips. It's like an AR QR code.
Yeah, it's more like the AR cards on the 3DS.
Okay.
So
kind of reminds me of that. That card game that was on PS3. The only difference being that you play your physical cards with the camera looking from on top or whatever. And it would do
I don't remember what that game was.
People would just go online and get I Have Judgment. People would go online and just grab the image of the card and then cut them out and then play the card game with a full deck of whatever they wanted. That was the most powerful deck.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing this newer technology doesn't allow for cheating like that.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not necessarily cheating if you're just playing with friends, but I can understand how that does wreck the economy around something like this.
Yeah. And this does have crossplay between all the different versions, so you can be on the Switch playing against someone on PC or mobile, and vice versa. So
cool.
And then the other thing I did this week is not necessarily playing a game, but I built some controllers for a game.
Yay!
Because I've talked about it in the past. I've had a couple of times where the Switch has fallen off the TV stand because I have cord. I have corded controllers, and so people will get tangled up into the cords, and it'll knock the Switch off the TV stand. And so because of that, I've had 2 left Joy-Cons that have broken. It just snapped the rails right off of the Joy-Cons. But I kept them because the ribbon cables that were attached to the rails came out cleanly, so I thought I could probably pick up some spare shells and just basically transfer the controllers from the broken controller into a new shell. And a couple weeks ago, I bought some atomic purple clear shells for the Joy-Cons, and Shannon, you were going to send me a screwdriver that I could take the old Joy-Cons apart. That got hung up in the mail for a couple of weeks, but it did finally come in this week. And I transferred one of the left Joy-Cons to an atomic purple shell, and then just took another right Joy-Con that I had that had an analog stick issue with some drifting, and replaced the analog stick in that and put that in one of the atomic purple shells as well.
Did pulling it out and cleaning it fix the drifting?
I got rid of that analog stick,
okay.
and I scavenged it from one of the broken left Joy-Cons.
Oh, okay.
And put it in the right Joy-Con that was having the drifting issues, because those analog sticks are interchangeable. They're not unique to the left or right Joy-Con.
Gotcha.
Took me probably an hour and a half to do the whole thing, which is not too bad at all.
Oh, that's good.
The biggest issue that I had was there are a couple of the ribbon cables that are very small, and getting those back into the place that they belong was a little bit difficult, but not insanely difficult. And the shells that I bought also came with a set of Famicom colored, Super Famicom colored buttons. So I took the opportunity to replace the buttons on the right Joy-Con, the A, B, X, and Y, with those Famicom buttons. I did leave the black buttons for the D-pad on the left Joy-Con. All in all, it was a fairly painless process. I know how to replace Joy-Cons now, though, if anybody has any problems with theirs, and it's not that difficult. I did notice, though, that apparently the analog stick for the left Joy-Con that I replaced also has some drifting issues. So I'm going to buy a new analog stick for that here in the next couple of weeks and replace that analog stick so it gets rid of those drifting issues. That will be pretty easy, I think, to take out and replace. But because of that, anytime you put the Joy-Cons onto the Switch, it was still registering the older colors, and I wanted to have it recognize that I was plugging purple Joy-Cons into the Switch. And there is a program that you can get on the PC that will allow you to do that.
Oh my gosh.
So, as long as your computer can connect to Bluetooth devices, you can sync your Joy-Cons up to the computer, launch this program, and tell it to rewrite the color of the Joy-Con on the firmware.
Oh my gosh!
So,
you're rewriting the firmware on your Joy-Cons. This is great.
Yes, and that is an incredibly painless process. It takes literally 30 seconds to do.
Oh my goodness.
So, and you can change the color of the Joy-Con itself and the buttons. Unfortunately, all the buttons can only be one color, so I could change them. I could change all the buttons to gray or all the buttons to pink, whatever. So I couldn't individually color the buttons on my right Joy-Con that are now all different colors.
What a world we live in today, Tony.
So, yeah. That was one of those things. I was like, I'm going to replace these Joy-Cons, but it's going to be weird using purple Joy-Cons when the Switch says you're using a red and a blue one. But luckily, someone thought about that and created a program.
It makes so wait. The system is recognizing it as purple? Do they look like a solid purple, or does the image look?
It is a solid purple.
Okay.
I can't make it, unfortunately, look clear, but
That's okay.
It is a solid purple.
The fact that the system recognizes solid purple as a valid color really makes me think, what was Nintendo planning to have all of those colors?
That's not something from Nintendo. Somebody has actually gone in and just basically given you a color wheel that you choose from. And
I get that, but I mean, the fact that the system is acknowledging that change, and the system isn't going, hey, this color doesn't exist properly.
Yeah.
That's pretty... That's cool.
So, and they also, with this program, if you have different Pro controllers, because I think you can get different shells for the Pro controllers, you can do the same thing for your Pro controllers as well.
Huh.
And rewrite the color of the Pro controller, that the system will recognize the correct color.
That's pretty cool.
So, and that program, it was very simple to download. Literally takes 30 seconds to change the color of your Joy-Con.
Did it let you activate the light function on the home button?
I did not know there was a light on the home button until I was using this program, and as I was changing the colors, I dumped the firmware of the Joy-Con onto the computer, backed it up, just in case something happened while I was doing this, so that I could fix them if there was a problem. And while it was dumping that firmware, the home button was lighting up, and I didn't even know the home button had a light on it.
Neither did I.
Like, you can see, if you look at a regular Joy-Con, you can see around the home button, there is a little bit of a clear ring where obviously a light could glow through, but Nintendo's never used it. Like, the system's been out for 2 years, and I have never once seen the home button on a Joy-Con light up until I was using this
clear
program
case
on the computer with the clear case. So that blew my mind.
It's definitely weird that they don't use it.
Like, it seems like they maybe thought at one point they were, for things like notifications, because the 3DS, the Wii U, and the Wii all glowed with a blue color if you got, notifications for something.
Mm-hmm.
But they've never used it on Switch. So, but that was weird. So, but that's what I did. I think the shells were $17 online. Replacing the analog sticks will be $10. So, for an hour and a half of time and $20, that was well worth it to me.
Very cool.
I do, though, now know I need to get a replacement back for the Switch itself, because you can replace those as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that literally is pulling 3 screws and popping the back of the Switch off, and then putting another one on and putting those 3 screws back in. That would be an incredibly simple thing to do. I know a lot of those replacement shells will come with 2 Joy-Cons and a matching back for the Switch. That's the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I've seen the clear backs of the Switch, and there's nothing exciting about it. It literally is just a silver piece of metal that you're looking at. There's nothing, you don't see the internals of the system itself. So, but I do need to replace it, because the kickstand, where that goes, I've developed a crack from where the kickstand has been popped off. Because that plastic is apparently super soft.
Oh no.
But that is it for me. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we will talk about some news. All right, guys, we just have a couple news stories to talk about this week. The first one is, both of these come from Nintendo's financial briefing that was held this week. The first one is that Mario Kart World Tour has been delayed. It was supposed to come out in spring, I think, but they announced that Mario Kart World Tour, which is a mobile game, has been delayed to sometime in the summer.
It's not too bad.
which is not too bad. I'm very curious to see what that game is going to be like, how it's going to play on mobile devices. But to go along with that, they also announced a new mobile game that will also be releasing in the summer. It is a popular Nintendo franchise. Anybody want to take any guesses?
Mobile.
Popular Nintendo franchise, Star Fox.
No.
Is it F-Zero?
No, it's not Metroid either. So they didn't delay Metroid Prime 4 for a Metroid mobile game.
Is it...
Why not?
Pikmin.
Pikmin would make a really good mobile game, I think.
Oh, probably would.
But no, it is not. It is Dr. Mario.
Huh.
Okay.
And it's called Dr. Mario World, and that's really all we know about it.
I could do a Dr. Mario game as long as it's not full of free-to-play nonsense.
Oh, I hope it's not full of free-to-play nonsense.
It'd be full of all the free-to-play nonsense.
No, I don't mind them selling premium mobile games like they did with Super Mario Run if the game is good.
Right. Absolutely.
I would actually prefer that, and I just make me pay you $10 to give me the whole game. I don't want free-to-play junk in my game if it can be avoided. But Mario Kart and Dr. Mario are both now set to come out in the summer. So that means Dr. Mario has now been out on, I think, just about every platform Nintendo has made or developed for except for the Switch.
Dr. Mario was on Super Nintendo?
I think there was a Super Nintendo version of Dr. Mario.
Alright, fact checking now.
Don't quote me on that, but I would not be surprised.
Let's see.
Yeah, there was Tetris World and Dr. Mario together, or Tetris and Dr. Mario together on a Super Nintendo cartridge.
You know what? That counts.
So.
Yep.
There you go. Metroid Prime 4 gets delayed, Mario Kart World gets delayed, but we get the announcement of a new Dr. Mario game. So, there you go. And then also, the other thing I want to talk about was they announced some sales figures. And as of the end of December 2018, the Switch now has 5 different games that have sold 10 million copies.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Total, the Switch has sold 33 million units, so there are 33 million systems out there, and 5 games are owned by more than a third of players on the system.
Okay, are we going to try and guess them?
You can if you would like.
Okay.
I'll tell you if you're right.
So I'm going to say Link Between Worlds.
No, that's a 3DS game.
No, what's the other one?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. Yeah, Breath of the Wild.
Yes. Breath of the Wild has sold 11.7 million units.
Okay. Mario Odyssey.
Yes, 13.7.
Okay. Are these all physical releases, or are some of them digital?
This is all of these have gotten physical releases.
Okay.
But they also are available on the eShop.
I'm gonna say Mario Kart.
Yes, that is the best-selling game on the system.
Okay.
At 15 million units.
Wow.
So nearly half of the people who own a Switch own Mario Kart 8.
They're probably counting the fact that was also a pack-in, because it was
Well, yeah, pack-ins count towards sales figures.
Okay, yeah, because there was, at least for the last 6 months, there's been that Mario Kart bundle on the shelf at Walmart. I know. Splatoon 2.
No, Splatoon 2 has not reached 10 million. It is at 8.
Smash Brothers.
Yes. Smash Brothers in 3 weeks. This only includes 3 weeks of sales. Super Smash Brothers sold 12 million copies.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
Yeah.
You got one more.
Mario Party?
No.
It's not New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. No, because that came out in January.
That one is up there, but I think it's at like 5 or 6 million.
Okay. I don't know.
The last one.
All right, go. I give up. Go.
It is the Pokemon Let's Go games.
Oh, I should have known that. Okay,
So,
what are the numbers on Let's Go?
10 million copies.
Okay. Did they give you the split? Did they just say 10 million total, or did they?
10 million total.
All right. Well, let's say it's a 70-30 split. Pikachu.
Sorry, Pikachu. Eevee wins.
I think Pikachu probably wins. In that
I see Let's Go Eevee on sale more often from retailers because I think they realize it's the slower mover.
I think so.
I
haven't
underestimate how adorable Eevee is.
I haven't picked up a copy, but when I do, it will be Pikachu.
Traitor.
Yeah. Sorry, I like Pikachu better than Eevee. So, but yeah, that's very good. In 2 years for the system to have 33 million units out there, to have 10 million sellers.
Yeah, that's a really big attach rate for those games. I mean, and rightfully so, because I have every one of them on my shelf, as I'm sure most of you do too.
Let's see, I have 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. I think in all the cases, any of these games, which I think there may be just 2 of them, 2 of them. If they were on the Wii U and the Switch version, I think, has outsold them. So Mario Kart Switch has outsold, I believe, I need to look at the numbers to be sure, has outsold Mario Kart 8 on Wii U. I think this Smash Brothers has sold more than 4 did, and Breath of the Wild has outsold the Wii U version.
Well, technically, Breath of the Wild was like a system seller there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was I think with that one, if you bought a Switch, Breath of the Wild was one of those games you got with it. And then if you didn't have a Switch, you bought Breath of the Wild on Wii U.
Was there a game out at Switch launch besides Breath of the Wild?
I think there was, but nobody cared about them. I don't even remember what the launch lineup was for the Switch.
It was Binding of Isaac, Afterbirth Plus, Super Bomberman R, and 1-2 Switch.
Snipper
That's
Clips?
not. That doesn't count. No, Snipper Clips was not a launch game.
It wasn't?
No.
Oh,
Snipper Clips was like a within the first month, but it was digital
window.
only. Yeah.
I know what it is. It's golf.
People couldn't play that.
They could.
It was on the system.
They just had to be willing to do stuff.
Change the date, change the system date, and do the motion.
Yeah, that kills me that was in there, and I wish we could have accessed that easier.
It's gone
I hate
now.
that they removed it.
It's like they didn't want us playing the game.
It's like they didn't want to give. Anyway,
let's not say that out loud.
Let's see. The launch lineup had a few more games. It had 1-2 Switch. These are all available in North America at launch. 1-2 Switch, Fast RMX, which was an eShop game. I Am Setsuna.
No, you're Tony.
Well, that's true. Just Dance 2017. Breath of the Wild, Shovel Knight.
For Chivalry.
Skylanders. Snipper Clips was a launch title.
Okay.
And Super Bomberman. Binding of Isaac came 2 weeks later.
Okay.
So, there you go.
Launch window.
Yep. But not a launch title. I think there will be some games that will hit this 10 million mark before long. I think New Super Mario Brothers will probably hit 10 million. Because that game has gotten a second life on Switch. That a lot of people have picked that up that didn't play that on Wii U. I wouldn't be surprised to see Donkey Kong hit that mark at some point. Tropical Freeze. Then what else could hit that list before long? I don't know. I don't think Mario Party will get there.
It's really good. It's still Mario Party, which stinks, but it's very good. If Mario Party is where Rhythm Heaven lives now, because there's a whole, I think, 9 or 12 mini games that are all just Rhythm Heaven style mini games.
Really?
Yeah, they're good.
All right. But aside from that, that will be the show for this week. We don't have any listener feedback for this week. So make sure you send your questions in to us so that we can talk about those and answer those on next week's show. But thank you, Shannon. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
And Ethan, thank you for being on the show as well.
Yay.
And
that's your outro right there. Enjoy.
If you want to reach out to us, we have tons of new ways to do so. You can email us at podcast@procgent.com. That's PROCGENT.com. You can send us a voicemail if you want by clicking on the voicemail link on the right side of the website. You can send us voicemails up to 90 seconds in length, and we'll play those on future episodes of the show and respond to the questions that you have. If you like what we do here, you can now support us on Patreon, patreon.com/pgint. Patreon supporters will get a video version of the podcast a day early. These will normally go out on Tuesdays. Patreon supporters will get them on Monday. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/progenint. Check out our YouTube channel that we've got and see the content we've got going on up there. And then we still do have the Facebook group where you can interact with us on a daily basis as well.